Laura, you know what? Long before I ever met you, I heard about you from everybody. I heard about you from Clyde Grubbs and Michelle Walsh and this person and that person. Like every you I knew said, "Oh, you really should talk to Laura Wagner about that." And and I don't know, maybe I was busy. I don't know why I resisted that good advice. It was some of the best advice I ever got. And I certainly wondered who this Wonder Woman was, Laura Wagner, for a long time. But then when I finally got to meet you, I really regretted that I hadn't met you sooner. First of all, you instantly became my secret legislative whisperer who would patiently answer my questions anytime I asked you, which to be honest was all the time, often late at night too. And so that was amazing just to be able to have you as a resource who was willing to do that because the first session when our Indigenous legislative agenda was going, there were a lot of things that we had questions about because all of this was brand new to a whole bunch of us. I feel so proud to know you now. You have such amazing skills in advocacy and community organizing. Your legislative work is extraordinary. I know it may not feel like that to you sometimes because it's so damn hard to get a bill passed in the state. It's almost like being Sisyphus, pushing that rock up the hill to try to get something passed. But you never give up. You always are so committed and have such good cheer and such a beautiful attitude about everything. I love that the way that you provided the UU Mass Action scaffolding for our Indigenous issues, as well as for issues that are pertaining to migrant communities, incarcerated people and their families, economic inequality, dismantling white supremacy and pipelines, and lots more things. Um, I like the way that you try to introduce different communities to each other, so that more partnerships will be formed. You're a real builder in that sense. And I really appreciate that since we started with the agenda back in 2019, um, just everything that you've done to help us. For those of you who don't know, our Massachusetts Indigenous Legislative Agenda um, is a is a coalition of people working to pass legislation in Massachusetts that impacts and centers Indigenous peoples. And now we have Claire Muller working with us on these things too, which is also great. Last session, we were able to pass the bill to redesign the state flag and seal, which unfortunately has not quite been redesigned yet. I have to look at it every day. And this session, we have bills to abolish the Native sports team names and mascots. That bill is here for the third time. We have a bill to celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day statewide, which it's about time, especially now that Boston has finally done the right thing and we have Indigenous Peoples Day in Boston. We had a very exciting week. We had a very exciting time over the last couple of weeks with Indigenous Peoples Day. We have another bill that will protect Native heritage, one that will improve educational outcomes for Native students, and another that's also very close to my heart, which is to include Indigenous-centered curriculum in the public schools throughout the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, so that all of our children will be learning about the true history and contemporary realities of Indigenous peoples. And these are so important. Your knowledge of how things work at the State House has just been invaluable, especially since, to be honest, Indigenous communities historically have been shut out of legislative concerns and processes. And it's really showed. I mean, the first time we showed up at the State House, that a lot of the legislators looked like they thought we were raiding them or something. They'd never seen so many Native people before and didn't know what to do with themselves, right? You've really helped us to understand this really convoluted legislative process that we have here in Massachusetts by helping to guide us through the introduction of bills, the sponsorship process, hearings, getting more support from organizations and members of the public, how to lobby, which was quite a lift, and also how to have press conferences at the State House. You know, through UMass Action and all the other efforts, you've really helped to make thousands more people aware of our bills at the State House. And in our experience, throughout all of your work, you display such respect for the ideas and leadership of Indigenous people. And that's super important because we really notice when someone non-native is not respectful or somehow thinks that they have a right to speak for us or over us. And you've never done anything like that, you know, and you absorb the information, and you've really understood that trying to center Indigenous people here in Massachusetts is a key thing to be working on, not just a side effort in some way. You've always been really open in learning about our issues and our histories. Um, you know, Lori, you're just the best. I'm really gonna miss you. But I'm also excited about this next chapter in your life too. So I just want to say on behalf of the agenda and you, Wayne, and on behalf of myself personally, of course, I love you. And I really hope we can hang out and have some good Armenian food together soon too.
We're neighbors now, so I will definitely be doing that. We'll definitely be hanging out and eating some good Armenian food.
That sounds
Love you
good.
too.
All right.
Thank you so much for being here. I know it wasn't easy. Thank you, Mahtowin.
Oh, I have to be here for you, believe me. I wouldn't miss it.